Scientists still don't really understand why we dream, and while the function of dream worlds for now still eludes us, the process of having a nightmare is largely linked to deeper psychological issues like anxiety, stress, and mental health in general. Nightmares are, by definition, horrible places to be, but luckily, after a few hours, we can wake up and forget the horror we were privy to. What if things weren't as simple as that? What if they were a reality? Hello and welcome back to Spooktober here on Life's Biggest Questions, the channel that looks to answer a plethora of queries from science, space, history, pop culture, politics, and a heady dose of what ifs. I'm your host Rebecca Felgate, and today I'm asking, what if your nightmares were real? Before we get into this scarefest, I want to ask you guys what nightmares you most regularly have. For me, I regularly dream that my teeth are falling out. It's so convincing every time. I always end up spitting them out one by one into the sink, or dreaming that I have to keep trying to shove them back into my gums. It's horrible. Anyway, let me know what yours are, and hopefully we can have a good old chat about it. While you're down there lurking in the comments section, why don't you guys hit the thumbs up button for this video, and also if you want to follow me on Instagram, there is a link to that in the description box. I have a face. So, what would nightmares being real actually look like? I guess it means that each and every time you slip into the comfort of your bed, you may fall through to a parallel world where spitting out your entire set of teeth at once can happen. You may also regularly be chased by some kind of ominous force. Clowns might want to kill you, spiders might be trying to crawl into your eyes, maybe you're being buried alive or falling from a building. Night after night you would experience a new horror. The question is, when we say real, do we mean absolved of consequences when we wake up, or for example, would all of my teeth actually be missing? If so, dental's expensive. Would we need to get nightmare insurance? What would happen if we did fall off a building in our nightmares? Would we actually die, or would we wake up with broken bones? Would we need paramedics close by at all times? If our nightmares were real and they had wakeful consequences, injury and death rates surely would go way up. Perhaps we can answer that age-old question: if you die in your nightmares, do you die in real life? If nightmares were real, would there be 7.5 billion parallel universes for everyone on the planet, our own personal nightmare realities? Or would it be like one nightmarish dimension? When you see your friends and family in your nightmares, will you also be part of theirs too? Would our nightmares interact? Will I be walking into a room naked to see a bunch of people that I actually work with? Will my friend Ruth actually metamorphosize into a bee with no way of communicating to the people trying to swat her? Would my friend Caroline actually be being chased by a wolf? Are we assigned to our personal dramas, or are we in this nightmare land together? Another question for you. Often people have nightmares that their significant others are cheating on them. Would this mean they are actually being adulterous, or do they have no control over their actions in a nightmare? If we commit crimes in nightmares, are we responsible for them? I suppose the answer here does really depend on control. At the moment, we have control over what we do when we are conscious, but seemingly no control over the subconscious. If nightmares were real, I guess the truly worrying thing would be that we are exposed to all of our worst fears without the ability to actually do anything about the worst case scenario situations we find ourselves in. Perhaps we would develop the ability to lucid dream. Lucid dreaming is explored in the movie Inception, and is basically where you're aware that you're in a dream state and can control what you do. A lot of people say that they are able to do this. It's a pretty prevalent practice in Tibetan Buddhism, but I'm told it is a very hard skill to acquire. If nightmares were real, perhaps we would be taught to lucid dream from an early age to help protect us in the unconscious planes. We could dwell for hours and hours on what on earth would happen in these nightmare planes, but for now, let's move on to how real nightmares would change the waking world. If nightmares were real, the state of our mental health would be in serious jeopardy. Those who already suffer from PTSD would have hellish lives, and perhaps we would all start blending the two realities, unsure of what's real and what's not. If horrific crimes like being stalked or murdered are committed in our dreams, would crime rates soar in the real world? The The worldwide economy would likely suffer. If every time you had a bad dream and events were, for all intents and purposes, real, how would we ever be able to go to school or work? Wouldn't we all be afraid to go to sleep? Would we try and deprive ourselves of sleep so we never had to risk having a nightmare? Would that send us all mad? Sleep deprivation experiments of the past tell us that if we don't sleep for 3 or more days, our health suffers immensely. Would our waking lives then become nightmares? In which case, what would be the point in avoiding sleep anyway? Perhaps in order to avoid total insanity, we could take a number of short naps every day, avoiding falling into REM, which is when we dream. Even then, we would become sleep deprived and irritable in our waking lives. Perhaps the best way to tackle the issue of dreams being real would be to try and get to the bottom of why we have them and why we have nightmares. Perhaps we would all be seeing therapists or trying to work through our waking life issues. Perhaps we would all need to actively de-stress before bed. Maybe we would sleep in safety pods that soothed us before sleep and monitored our brainwaves and heart rates when we were unconscious. Perhaps if our vitals showed signs of stress or depletion while we were sleeping, the pods could have some kind of alarm to wake us up and pull us out of danger. I think I'm gonna patent that. Sounds like a really good idea if nightmares were real. A world in which nightmares are real would be a very, very different place. Cheese sales would be in decline. Scary movies, shows, and books would be banned. Halloween would not be tolerated. Anything that could trigger us in our sleep would not be tolerated in the real world because it would just be too dangerous. We would live in a kind of faux cotton candy dreamland, and actually, that sounds creepy, but maybe, just maybe, it would work out? I don't know. Further questions are, if nightmares are real, would dreams as a whole be real too? And if so, what is this absurdist astral plane we find ourselves floating through? And what is it about being unconscious that makes it accessible? If nightmares are real, then would we create some kind of drug to stop us dreaming? Is that possible? Do we need dreams and nightmares? There are so many things to think about here. It's a good job we're a channel that loves a question. So guys, I think we'll leave this one here for now, but before I go, I wanted to tell you that if you like this video, you'll probably enjoy our video, What Do Nightmares Mean? If you click on that card right now, then you can watch it. Did you guys like this video? What would you do if your nightmares were real? Don't forget to let me know in the comment section down below. Also, don't forget to let me know what your most common nightmares are. Also, while you're down there, why don't you like this video and share it with a friend? Thank you guys for watching this video. I'm your host, Rebecca Felgate. I'll catch you next time, but until then, make sure you stay curious, stay alert, and never ever stop questioning.